A pleasant good morning and welcome to News Net on OKFM 99.5, a production of the News and Current Affairs Department at OK Communications Incorporated. Today it's Wednesday, July 4, 2018. My name is Augustine Kollie. Here are the top stories. President Weah accepts Central Bank Governor Milton Weeks' resignation while lauding Commissioner General Afridia Tamba for her end of service at the LIBERIA Revenue Authority. Front Page Africa's managing editor Rodney Sear says the 2018-2019 fiscal budget is not proper-friendly, while Georgian government's fiscal decision as economic suicide. Hope of overly ambitious lawmakers dashed. Liberian Senate voted to pass a bill to prohibit certain legislators from contesting in a given by-election as House of Representatives repeals a law decriminalizing press freedom in Liberia. And away from home, Nigeria Captain John Mikel Obi said the insecurity in the country is scary as his father was kidnapped for the second time in 7 years. The news bulletin, the voices of those making the news, your comments are all packaged. We're taking a very short break. To be right back. Thanks for rejoining us. Let's now join Trokon Freeman to bring us the news bulletin. Good morning, Trokon.
Good morning, Augustine. President George Weah has received and accepted the resignation of the executive governor of the Central Bank of Liberia, Milton Weeks. The president commended Mr. Weeks for his service to the nation and wished him well in his future endeavors. According to an executive mansion release, successor to Governor Weeks will be announced shortly. In another development, the president has lauded Madam Afridia Tamba for successfully ending her tenure as Commissioner General of the Liberia Revenue Authority. Madam Tamba's tenure officially ended on Saturday, June 30, 2018. Front Page Africa's managing editor Ronnie C says the 2018-2019 fiscal budget is not pro-poor friendly, while Georgian government's fiscal decision as economic suicide. Ronnie said nothing is captured in the budget that goes towards the empowerment of the ordinary people. According to him, most of the money in the budget goes towards personal cost. Ronnie revealed that he has been reliably informed that $40,000 were approved in the budget for the procurement of lawmakers' vehicles. Appearing on OKFM's Afternoon Conversations Tuesday, the Liberian journalist expressed worry that such decision will hurt the economy. The FPA's managing editor said he concurs with Mr. Darius Dillon's assertion that Liberia is sick, saying the country is cursed. Meanwhile, Ronan has said governing CDC's chairman Maba Molu has turned himself into the head of the Civil Service Agency, thus turning the political party headquarters into the agency headquarters. The Liberian Senate has voted to pass a bill to prohibit any sitting lawmaker from contesting in a given by-election. The bill, which was put forth by Grand Cayman County Senator Vanny Sherman, mandates any sitting lawmaker to resign his or her post before contesting in an by-election. The decision by the Senator followed the motion by Sano County Senator Maiden Tiejin after members of the Senate debated the legal instrument Tuesday. After the motion, 2 supporting amendments were added to the existing bill sent to the lower house for concurrence by Nimad and Makibi County Senators Thomas Grupi and James Tonala. Senator Grupi indicated that any sitting lawmaker wanting to contest must resign his or her post, while Senator Tonala wants the instrument be embedded in the electoral law and the code of conduct. Meanwhile, Rivers County Senator Francis Pay, during the heated debate, expressed his lack of support to the bill put by his colleague. According to him, such bill would violate the right of sitting lawmakers who want to contest in a by-election. He however expressed optimism that the bill would not be concurred by the House of Representatives. Still in Capitol Hill, the House of Representatives has repealed a law decriminalizing press freedom in the country. President George Weah recently submitted a bill to the House of Representatives on the name of fallen press of Liberia former President Abdullah Kamara. The House's Committees on Broadcasting and Judiciary, in a report to plenary Tuesday, requested the passage of the law with a change in nomenclature. Both the Chairman of Broadcasting, Representative Nangwe's Law, and Vincent Willie called for the change in nomenclature on grounds that other fallen and active individuals have contributed to achieving press freedom. Representatives Lord and Willie maintained that it was fair enough to resist individualizing the law, but Representatives Edwin Snow, Akara's Grade, and others back the nomenclature of the bill in accordance with President George Weah's plea. However, the previous motion to have the bill repealed was further challenged by Representative Slaw, whose motion for reconsideration was immediately defeated. Our legislative reporter revealed that the lawmakers Slaw and Bayan Howard voted against, while two others abstained, with 36 others in support. For his part, President of Liberia, President Charles Kollie, lauded the lower house for repealing the law. Charles Kollie added that repealing the law will enhance and protect the Liberian media landscape. Finance and Development Planning Minister Samuel Toye has described the opening of the Economic Forecasting and Training Lab at the ministry as a great step for capacity building program. Minister Toye said capacity building has been the major setback. As such, the lab will enable staffers to do data analysis and economic forecasting. He made the remarks Tuesday when he dedicated the lab made available by the Liberia Macroeconomic Policy Analysis Center. Speaking earlier, the executive director of LIMPAC, Francis Rice, said the lab will strictly focus on training of employees of the Finance Ministry in different economic disciplines. Authorities of the Central Bank of Liberia and the Ministry of Finance have been requested by plenary to appear before these committees on ways and means and banking over the depreciation of the Liberian and United States dollars. The decision of plenary followed a review of a communication by the Committee on Banking and Currency previously submitted by Representative Jimmy Smith. The House's Chair on Banking and Currency, Representative Dixon Sibos, added that the depreciation is unprecedented. Representative Sibo added that the economic factors to jumpstart normal living conditions of Liberians need to be considered by the CPL. For his part, the progenitor of the communication, Jimmy Smith, has backed calls for the appearance of the CBL and finance authorities. The Weah for Clean City Special Task Force has called on Liberians, especially those residing in Monrovia, to help buttress the efforts of the city government in giving the city a clean and green look ahead of the July 26 Independence celebration. The tripartite task force, which comprises of the Monrovia City Corporation, Painesville City Corporation, and the General Services Agency, has been tasked with the mandate to design befitting programs which are geared towards giving Monrovia an attractive look. Addressing the news conference in Monrovia Tuesday, a member of the task force, Madam Mary Bro, said the team will do everything possible to give Liberia the beautiful look. Madam Bro is also the head of the General Services Agency, has meanwhile cautioned Liberians to desist from throwing dirt on major streets in the country, stressing that the task force will not hesitate to impose fines on those violating the city areas that are dirt prone. He wants business people in the country to abide by the task force mandate, and thereby urging every individual, especially young people, to form part of the process. The chairman of the God's Will Council, Evangelist Jomo Broderick, says their decision to elect President George Weah has turned into something different. God's Will said the relationship between the man and his former wife was due to the lack of persistent non-child support on the part of the man. This is currently in police custody or ongoing investigation. Another development from the county is that Senator Dan Morias has secured 300 bundles of zinc for citizens residing in various huts in the county. According to Senator Morales, the intervention is an initial contribution of his services to improving the shelter condition of citizens. He made a statement when he presented a few bundles of zinc to residents in Plibo district Monday. River G County District 3 Representative Francis Dabo has alarmed over separate features of the Liberian currency, displaying 3 pieces of $100 note in plenary. Representative Dabo had other VAT features in the morning were all different. According to him, such features have the tendency to undermine the value of the Liberian dollars. OKFM has established Father Cestus prisons in Riverside County, lies in Tokto Darkness. The prison facility has been without electricity for the past 4 days. Our correspondent in the county calls the prison superintendent, Siru Kuyatera, saying the lack of electricity at the prison facility poses serious threat to the security inmates, including security officers at the compound. According to Superintendent Kuyate, the Cestus prison has been getting electricity from a solar panel which broke down nearly 4 days ago. Adding that the prison has no means of receiving light during that hours. Superintendent Kuyate fear the prison school easily break jail and escape due to lack of electricity. The Cestus prison superintendent is however sending an SOS call on to the Liberian government through the Ministry of Justice and other humanitarian organizations to quickly assist in restoring the electricity at the prison facility. 100 children and youth activists Tuesday staged 1,000 case walk throughout the principal streets of Monrovia to end violence against them in society. The children between the ages of 4 to 5 years were seen holding placards with inscriptions calling on the government to provide equal protection, the vote of injustice. Sata Sheriff, the lead campaigner, stressed that the violence meted against children are numerous, stressing that it should come to an end. She had ever called on national leaders to live up to the signing of several treaties and protocols by the immediate past administration and desist from what she referred to as the complete abandonment of the welfare of the children of Liberia. The child rights advocate then vowed to remain unwavering in their quest to ensure that the children of Liberia are given a favorable environment to live. And the chief administrator of the Kollie Technical and Vocational School has welcomed the restriction placed on his institution by the Commission on Higher Education. The Kollie Technical and Vocational School has been restricted by the National Commission on Higher Education to only provide vocational training education. Recently, the National Commission on Higher Education established a list of 7 schools that are operating without accreditation in Liberia. Speaking to Visitation Tuesday, Benjamin Kangaroo welcomed the restriction imposed by the Commission, also due further saying his institution is running a professional and technical education and not vocational education as stated in the previous release by the Commission. Mr. Kanga said the Ministry of Education previously issued a document to the institution mandating it to operate vocational, professional and technical education and give advanced diploma. According to him, the release from the National Commission on Higher Education has no effect on Kollie because the documents come from TVET Department of Education to operate both vocational and technical education. That's the news bulletin. Is back to you, Augustine, for the continuation of Newsnet.
Trokon Freeman with the news bulletin. Trokon returns at 6:45 with the international developments. You're listening to Newsnet on OKFM 99.5. This newscast is relayed on the Voice of Hope in Plibo, Maryland County. Here are the top stories. President Weah accepts Central Bank Governor Milton Wick's resignation, while ordering Commissioner General Afrida Tamba for her end of service at the Liberia Revenue Authority. From Page Africa's managing editor Rodney C. says the 2018-2019 fiscal budget is not proper-friendly, while Georgian government's fiscal decision as economic suicide. Hope of overly ambitious lawmakers dashed. Liberian Senate voted to pass a bill to prohibit certain legislators from contesting in a given by-election as House of Representatives repeals a law decriminalizing press freedom in Liberia. And away from home, Nigeria Captain John Mikel Obi said the insecurity in the country is scary after his father was kidnapped for the second time in 7 years. Stay tuned. This time when we come back, we'll bring you the voices of those making the news. Thanks for rejoining us. From Page Africa's managing editor Rodney C. says the 2018-2019 fiscal budget is not proper-friendly, while Georgian government's fiscal decision as economic suicide. Rodney C. said nothing is captured in the budget that goes towards the empowerment of the ordinary people.
Talk about poor. You got to look at all of these dynamics, because what you've done, you've bloated the payroll. And so most of the money in the budget is going to go toward paying somebody. And I guarantee you, we had this problem in the last government when the lawmakers had things in the budget that were repetitive. I'm sure you're going to see buying furnitures, buying chairs for the offices, because when they're leaving, what happens? They take those things with them. It's not for them. They take it with them. So every budget, you got to buy new stuff. In the budget, I'm told there's 40,000 for vehicles.
40,000
for lawmakers, for each lawmaker. And the economy is going to hurt more, because what I'm told is there's a deal in place to get these vehicles from Benin. You follow me?
I'm following you.
So the local car dealers are going to feel the pinch. Those who sell cars are going to feel the pinch. So they're going to money the limited US dollar you have, you're going to give to some foreigners to bring cars in the country.
Meanwhile, Rodney C. has said Governance CDC's chairman Moba Molu has turned himself into the head of the Civil Service Agency, thus turning the political party headquarters into the agency office. To the next development, the Liberian Senate has voted to pass a bill to prohibit any certain lawmaker from contesting in a given by-election. The bill, which was proffered by Grand Kitmore County Senator Vining Chairman, mandates any certain lawmaker to resign his or her post before contesting in any by-election. The decision by the Senate followed a motion by Sino County Senator Milton Tieji after members of the Senate debated the legal instrument Tuesday. After the motion, 2 supporting amendments were added to the existing bill sent to the lower house for concurrence by Nemba and Maingibi County Senators Thomas Grupi and Jim Tonola.
Madam President, my distinguished colleague, I will be ready to vote if the movement could amend his motion to include that this bill be accepted by this body with the following amendment: that any representative or senator that wishes to run for a vacant seat should resign the current position before running for the vacancy.
I'll be willing to vote if the movement will accept this amendment, that it is not just the election laws of Liberia, but also the code of conduct should also be included for strengthening. So please accept my...
I believe the new motion is that we accept the report with the following amendment: that the recommendations for eligibility requirements be added to the National Election Commission law, stating all sitting representatives or all sitting lawmakers who want to contest for open seats will first resign their position. I think this is where we are. All in favor of this new motion, make it known by putting up your right hand.
Meanwhile, Rivers County Senator Francis Pay, though in the heated debate, expressed his lack of support to the bill proffered by the senator.
I will state here that I,
is totally against this law. We have freedom of movement in this republic, and everybody in this world, all over the world, they know that Liberia is a free country. We love people, and so I don't think we should stop denying people of the right. If you are elected as representative, if you are elected as senator, the people trust you. They love you. And so they want you to do the work that they are elected you for. So when you are senator, you have to be afraid. But somebody coming from the lower house to contest for you to win you. You are elected to do the right thing. And as long as a citizen, or senator, or representative, if you are doing the right thing, I don't think you have the cause to worry. To be afraid. Of course, yes, I did it. And I feel strongly that everybody here can go for the second time to win.
The voice of Rivers County Senator Francis Pay. The House of Representatives has repealed a law decriminalizing press freedom in Liberia. President George Weah recently submitted a bill to the House of Representatives honoring the name of fallen president of Liberia, former President Kamara Abdullah Kamara. Both the chairman and broadcasting Representative Nangus Law and Vincent Willie called for the change in nomenclature on grounds that other fallen and active individuals have contributed to achieving press freedom. Representatives Law and Willie maintained that it was fair enough to resist individualizing the law.
I am being requested by Comrade Rufus Dapo, Comrade Abo Port, Comrade Wo Gabi Tapia, Comrade Charles Benyon, Comrade Wiwi Deba, and all other freedom fighters in this country who have fought for us, Comrade Bacchus Matthews, for free speech in this country. Let's remember that this bill is not only for press freedom, it's for free speech as a whole. And so to single out one of the soldiers of free speech will not be doing justice to the others, many of whom died in the process from bullets. And so I will beg you, honorable ladies and gentlemen, to reconsider the vote taking. Like we say in our report, the Press Union of Liberia's headquarters is under construction. If the governor of Liberia and the Press Union can work together to name that headquarters in honor of the brother, it will be befitting.
The essence of the bill and the genesis of the bill is not just restricted to journalists. I think most of our colleagues just looking at the journalistic aspect of it. But like Honorable Slow said, there are heroes. If you follow us today, if you historians, like I said earlier, if you follow Liberia from 1847, you'll see the legs of Gabriel back on Matthew, who fought for free speech in this country. And we need to understand, Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, that the decision we made here, we think that into history. And our people will record the decision we made here today. And that we must take into consideration those who fought for free speech in this country. And by naming it, I can recall years back in the Senate to the Vice President, the current Vice President, put for a bill. And she wanted to include a day called President Day. And the histories of that bill, after history starting that bill, they rejected that because they did not want to say a President Day, and it was being fought because we were escaping it similar thing today.
Both the chairman and broadcasting Representatives Nangus Lord and Vincent Willie. But Representatives Edwin Snow, Akaros Gray, and others backed the nomenclature of the bill in accordance with President George Weah's plea.
There are countless laws in different jurisdictions that have been named in honor of heroes. So I was disappointed when my learned colleague spoke and said they have done research or there was no precedent. I'm sorry, I think that the internet wasn't working. But Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the President, commend the Press Union, and Mr. Kamara, may his soul rest in peace, that with his advocacy and his fight for press freedom in Liberia, that this House today will take an action championing press freedom and remembering the good work of Mr. Kamara.
Let me say that there are several laws that are named after people, and they call these laws eponymous laws. We normally and generally defer to the wisdom of our colleagues, and while we do not see any problem, any objection to the way the colleagues want to name the bill, you could actually have had a happy medium, because generally legislation carries an official title, which is an act of repeal. Then if you see legislation generally, you will see what is called the short title, or what we normally would call the nickname of the bill. And so when you hear Sherman Antitrust Act, that is the short title, or that's the nickname of the bill. And we could say the short title or the nickname of this bill is the Abdullah A. Kamara Act. It will still be cataloged under its official title, which is the act repealing certain provisions of the thing. So it's generally a happy medium. I don't think we should quarrel much on the legal perspective of how this bill is going to be cataloged. I share the opinion, after having been convinced, even though I signed the report, that perhaps indeed Abdullah A. Kamara name could be on the short title and nickname of this bill.
Representatives Edwin Snow, Akaros Gray and others backing the nomenclature of the bill in accordance with President George Weah's plea. For his part, President of Liberia President Charles Coffey lauded the lower house for repealing the law.
Well, we are very delighted that after several decades, hundreds of years since the 18th century, before 1847 up to the 19th century, and the 20th century, that journalists have been used, despite the work they do, being affected by these laws. Attempt them to be draconian because there's the kind of harsh punishment, severity, the extremity in which libel laws, sedition, criminal malevolence are used against journalists has caused the kind of problem creating self-censorship. So we just want to hail the committee for the hard work, though they had some concern, but that was addressed for the passage of this bill to repeal these laws, provisions of the panel law, sedition, libel, and criminal malevolence. We think it's in the right direction. Liberia will now become in compliance to international conventions on media-related laws.
President of Liberia President Charles Coffey lauding the lower house for repealing a law decriminalizing press freedom in Liberia. Finance and Development Planning Minister Samuel Toy has described the opening of the Economic Forecasting and Training Lab at the ministry as a great step for capacity building program. Minister Toy said the capacity building has been a major setback, and as such, the lab would enable staffers to do data analysis and economic forecasting.
And now being minister, looking at capacity challenges that we have in the country, I think this support is even more pivotal. And we'll be looking for even bigger support from the foundation in this direction. I think what is needed now is to see how we transform the lab, how we utilize the lab to transform the effectiveness and the delivery of government. I think that's where the challenge has always been. We've had capacity programs, and after capacity ends, we still don't see the capacity. We hope we can turn the corner in that direction. And under my watch, I hope that's not going to be the case, because I'm going to ensure that this lab is used to provide the kind of analysis and the kind of information that, as minister, I need in real time. You know, when I ask for something and I want to produce in 24 hours, it should be done by analysts who are seasoned, either in the software, in the methodology, in researching, and provide the full nuance of a report.
The voice of Finance and Development Planning Minister Samuel Toy. Authorities of the Central Bank of Liberia and the Ministry of Finance have been requested by plenary to appear before its committees on Ways and Means and Banking over the depreciation of the Liberian and United States dollars. The decision of plenary followed a review of a communication by the Committee on Banking and Currency previously submitted by Representative Jim Smith. The House's chair on Banking and Currency, Representative Dixon Seabour, added that the depreciation is unprecedented.
For the FX rate to be effective, is dependent on the supply or demand of money, the amount of money in the market, in other words, and how much is demanded or how much is supply. And there are things that will affect that. One of the things that will affect that is when you print money. When you print money, you put more money in the market. That's supply money. Two, when the reserve requirement moves. Now, central bank, one of the instruments the central bank has to determine the flow of money in the market is that when the central bank realizes at any point in time that there's so much Liberian dollar in the market, one of the things she can do is she can decide to carry the reserve requirement for Liberian dollar up. Now it is at 18%. We jump it to 25%. In other words, we'll be taking additional 7% of the total money supply on the market. That is going to affect the FX rate. Third, the interest rate. When you go borrow money, when the cost of money is high, you will not have a lot of people borrowing money. And when a lot of people don't borrow money, less money will be on the market. Those are factors that will affect the exchange rate. Has any of those things happened in the past 6 months? You guys are journalists. Let's investigate. If you note, the central bank cannot tell us that they have printed money, additional money in the past 6 months. The interest rates in the bank have not changed.
The House's Trade and Banking and Currency Representative Vixen Sibor, for his part, the progenitor of the Communication Representative Jim Smith, has backed the calls for the appearance of the Central Bank of Liberia and finance authorities.
It is my understanding that this process continues. The central bank governor will have to appear, and this is where I am insisting that communication was precise. It was clear to the point that the subject at hand is that the unprecedented, rise or increase in the exchange rate must be explained to the Liberian people, and by doing so, we want to know what the central bank know of this unprecedented increase, if they are doing anything about it, or what is it they could do about it. My sense there is that they should be able to do something to slow down the inflation. That's what it's done. They cannot prevent the problem because inflation is war issues, but there can be some interventions, where some bank will insert certain amount to offset or slow down the inflation.
The voice of Representative Jim Smith. Meanwhile, the committee is expected to report in the next 2 weeks. The We Are for Clean Cities Special Task Force has called on Liberians, especially those residing in Monrovia, to help buttress the efforts of the city government in giving the city a clean and green look ahead of the July 26 Independence celebration. Addressing a news conference in Monrovia Tuesday, a member of the task force, Madam Mary Bro, said that the team will do everything possible to give Liberia a beautiful look.
We are encouraging those who honestly, passionately want to join us to join us. We want to have a very clean city by July 26. This is President Bia's first July 26 celebration. We have to make it very clean for him. Let him be proud of his citizens. We also have to make sure all motorists who will not leave our government vehicles, you drop anything from your car, we will fine you. So we are going to put that out. We're going to do jingles on radio. We're going to have street plays. We are going to make the young children also understand. I am committed in this government, previous government, or this government. I am a nationalist. So as the mayor said before, I am not going to say I won't do it because I'm not part of this. We are all part of the process.
The voice of Madam Mary Bro, a member of the task force. Also speaking, the head of the We Are for Clean Cities Special Task Force, Mayor Jefferson Koji, said the initiative will target strategic areas that are dirt prone.
Be two shaped as we carry on this exercise. There will be both in the day and in the night. That's what we intend to do, because we think we need to have a very rigorous approach, and the young people will be involved. So we will begin in the morning. Like today, he said the both entity, PCC, and you have GSA and MCC. We will begin today. Effective immediately, we will start by the evening hours, and that will jumpstart the street. And we call it on businesses for their full year cooperation. And we think this is the presidential task force, and we have a responsibility. We think that you must do everything in your meat and bounds to ensure that this responsibility is not in any way hindered, either deliberately or unintentionally.
Mayor Jefferson Kollie is the head of the We Are for Clean Cities Special Task Force. Earlier you heard the voice of Madam Mary Bro, who's also a member of that task force. This year, July 26 marks the first Independence Day celebration under the We Are Taylor administration. The chairman of God's World Council, Evangelist Jomo Broderick, says their decision to elect President George Weah has turned into something different. Speaking to this station Tuesday, Evangelist Broderick stated that President Weah's failure to conduct forensic audit compass government officials is responsible for the harsh economic reality facing the people.
So I advocate the will of God for Liberia, that the president, vice president, and those whom are in authority must love God with their whole heart, whole soul, whole might, and must love the people as they love themselves. Choice we make to elect President George Weah and those whom are in authority, the Coalition for Democratic Change, is not working out the way we thought it would. We thought we wanted President George Weah to call for a forensic audit from former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to make sure that all the wealth they took from the Liberian people illegally, unlawfully, be returned to the Liberian people, so that the Liberian people must get involved in the agricultural sector, so that they must have rice plantation, plantain plantation, cassava plantation, they must have chicken factory, pig factory, cow factory, goat factory, sheep factory. We should not be importing these things. This is why that the rate is climbing up high, because everything we importing it in the country. President Sirleaf and her former government officials allege that they took money from the Liberian people revenue. This money must be returned back to the government.
Evangelist Jomo Broderick is the chairman of God's World Council. Police in Maryland County are investigating a 52-year-old man identified as Dixon Tor for attempting to kill the boyfriend of his ex-wife. According to reports, Dixon Tor allegedly presented a right poison to his 10-year-old son to place it in the food of his wife's boyfriend with the intent of winning his wife back to him. A reporter in Maryland County is Johnny Nangwe.
According to the story, Dixon Tor gave rat medicine to his child to put in the food of the wife boyfriend to kill the boyfriend. Then the woman will go back to him. He got the information from the national police, where they contacted us to get that story, and they told us that this guy went to his son, informed his son that I want your mother to come back. So what I want you to do is to take the rat medicine and put it in the food. Then when he die, then your mom will come back to me. Because you understand that we have 7 living children, you got 7. So when come back to me, when they met that, then your mom will come back to me. So the labor too, he never had that notion. A 10-year-old boy, when he put the food in the medicine in that food, the rat medicine, and his mother not know nothing about it. She was that she warmed the food the next morning, she tried to eat it, and her stomach started to hurt. At the end of the day, she was taken to the hospital, and the boy confessed that his father gave it to him to kill the stepfather.
Doesn't mean that the stepfather didn't eat any of the food.
No, the stepfather, according to the story what we gathered, he was on the run at that time. He slept to the west side. So after he came the next morning, then the woman warmed the food. He ate the food. The guy who is Mr. Tor is in police custody, and they told that they are doing investigation to send him to court.
Another development from the county states that Senator Dan Marias has secured 300 bundles of zinc for citizens residing in various huts in Maryland County. Here once again is Johnny Nangwe.
War have been declared unpartaged in Maryland County from one of the senators, Senator Dan Marias, giving 300 bundles of zinc to people that declared war unpartaged.
What are the 300 bundles for?
To take thatch for all the houses, and put zinc. We are understand that the people in Maryland County, some people don't have money to help and build something good for themselves. People don't have nothing for themselves. So he thought it wise, needed the widows to help in the process, taking the plantage and putting zinc over the house. So he declared as a war on plantage.
Is it his personal initiative as a lawmaker, or is in consultation with his colleagues as legislative members?
According to him, he told us that from his own personal pocket, nobody helping him, own personal money using.
What part of the county is expected to benefit from this?
For now, it's Freeman district, and according to him, he's taking arms of the Bible and the Calvary belt overnight, starting people.
John Inang with his OKFM correspondent in Maryland County. Let's take a look at few of your comments you left on our Facebook page last evening. Tido Edward Beslow says, the central bank governor needs to tell the Liberian people why he resigned, especially during the time that United States dollars rate is increasing day by day. Alaric Nuno Gomez Legend Wabi says, honorable people resign or leave when they realize that their policies for a particular situation failed. Thank you for leaving the scene, Mr. Weeks and Madam Tamba. Rodney Seard is right. There is nothing proper about the just passed budget. They are still seeking their interests. The budget is not in the interest of the masses. Congratulations to the Honorable House of Senate for the proposal of an excellent bill. If any lawmaker wants to contest a by-election, he or she must resign. Let's come to Christian Yanti says, in my opinion, I think it's wrong for the governor of the central bank to resign at this time that we are experiencing a huge inflation in our economy. Hence, let him be invited by the honorable legislature to provide and explain why we have different banknotes on the market. As such, we as Liberians are seriously confronted with the current situation and embarrassment that we are faced with in our economy. Hope this be taken serious as you observe audit of former Governor Weeks as soon as possible. Christian Yanti writes from Door Community. Justin F. Bandio says, the resignation of the central bank governor J. Merton Weeks at this time where our country's economy is skyrocketing is worrisome and dangerous to the state. We are calling on government to explain to the Liberian people reasons that prompted the governor resignation. I also agree with the manager of the Front Page Africa newspaper that the budget is not proper friendly. Civil servant salaries remain the same. Health and education receive low allotment. President Wiyat's office has more money in the budget as compared to the ex-president, Madam Selly. Finally, this government must live according to her promise. Razak Khan says, I like to appreciate the Senate on this bill, most especially Councillor Sherman. I pray it should be accepted by the lower house in order to save our country broken and struggling economy from wasteful spending. John Paley says, okay, FM family, it's like Mr. Seard is, okay, we will get to that. He should be telling the Liberian people which part of the budget the 40,000 is pledged. Secondly, is the construction of housing units for the poor free of charge not improve their lives? Is the allocation of funds for Liberian business not in the interest of poor people? And so that's it. Let's bring this next development just coming in. A jury has found Jukanti Thomas Wowiyu, a former number 2 in the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, guilty on 11 counts of criminal immigration fraud. At the end of a 3-week trial, the jury of 8 men and 4 women took 1 day of deliberations to reach a verdict. They found him guilty on all counts related to persecution of Liberians during the war at the hands of the NPFL, on 5 counts related to his immigration interview and his failure to list the NPFL among his associations. The jury found him not guilty. Wowiyu embraced the other family and supporters in the room. He had a brief smile for them. His other children were not there. U.S. Assistant District Attorney Linwood C. Wright requested Wowiyu be put under house arrest, awaiting the sentencing hearing on October 15 at 10 a.m. Wowiyu and his supporters left the courthouse by a back door, escaping reporters. His attorney Mark Wilson said they were disappointed. He said there will likely be an appeal as there were a lot of issues with the case. Outside the court, Wright told reporters he was pleased with the verdict. Wright and his team have traveled to Liberia on multiple occasions to prepare for this trial and the earlier trial of Mohammed Jabate. He said he hoped this verdict would bring some comfort to Liberia's war victims. At this juncture, let's rejoin Trokon Freeman to bring us the foreign news.
Nigeria Captain John Mikadobi said the insecurity in the country is scary after his father was kidnapped for the second time in 7 years. Mikadobi and his driver were adopted at gunpoint on 26 June in Inuku, but were released on Monday. Mika was told of his father's capture 4 hours before playing in Nigeria's 2-1 World Cup defeat by Argentina. And the Kane winner of the prestigious Kane Prize for African Writing has told the BBC she will donate half of her €10 million winnings to help rehabilitate street children. Her winning story follows a Kenya street child named Miri. The judge's praise is lack of sentimentality and haunting humor. Anjurika said she was surprised to win and had in fact betted against herself being awarded the prize given annually to an African writer of a short story published in English. Those were the foreign developments.
And this is how we take a leave of you on this edition of News Net on OKFM 99.5. But just before leaving you, a reminder of our top stories. President Weah accepts Central Bank Governor Milton Wick's resignation, while lauding Commissioner General Frida Tamba for her end of service at the Liberia Revenue Authority. Front page Africa's managing editor Rodney Sear says the 2018-2019 fiscal budget is not proper friendly, while Georgian government's fiscal decision as economic suicide. Hope of overly ambitious lawmakers dashed. Liberian Senate voted to pass a bill to prohibit certain legislators from contesting in a given by-election as House of Representatives repeals a law decriminalizing press freedom in Liberia. And Nigeria Captain John Mikadobi said the insecurity in the country is scary after his father was kidnapped for the second time in 7 years. Trokon Freeman was here with the news bulletin and later brought you the foreign news. Eddie Fuaponen ably handled the order of the sounds. The voice of hope in Plebo, Maryland County relayed this edition. For more news, you can log on to www.okfmlr.com/Facebook OKFM Liberia. Better still 99.5 megahertz, or you download our application, OKFM application from Google Play Store, and keep listening. My name is Augustine Kollie. Thanks for listening and watching.